Hollow Knight is a deeply immersive action-adventure game set in a fallen underground kingdom known as Hallownest. It was developed by an independent studio and released to massive acclaim for its masterful blend of challenging combat, intricate exploration, and enigmatic world-building. The world of Hallownest is vast, mysterious, and hauntingly beautiful, filled with countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. Hallownest was once a thriving kingdom beneath the surface, inhabited by a variety of insectoid creatures from all walks of life. The kingdom stretched across lush caverns, desolate ruins, bustling cities, and ancient palaces. Its borders reached far and wide, drawing travelers and explorers from distant lands to its welcoming gates. At the heart of this kingdom was a ruler known only as the Pale King. The Pale King was no ordinary monarch. Long before the rise of Hallownest, he was a being known as a worm who shed his massive shell and transformed into a smaller form suited to the delicate world of the bugs. After his transformation, he began to grant sapience, intelligence, and the ability to think and communicate to the countless bug species that lived in the depths. Over time, his power and influence grew, and the bugs began to view him as their creator and protector, a godlike figure at the helm of the great kingdom of Hallownest. Among the many tribes and communities beneath the kingdom were moths who once worshipped a different being known as the Radiance, an ancient deity of light and dreams. The Radiance was revered as a source of illumination and spiritual power long before the arrival of the Pale King. Yet when the Pale King ascended to power, the moths and other inhabitants turned their devotion to him, leaving the Radiance forgotten and cast aside. This forsaken worship sparked the beginning of Hallownest's downfall. The Radiance, enraged by being abandoned, began to influence the dreams of the kingdom's inhabitants, appearing in their subconscious minds as a blazing light that beckoned and overwhelmed them. These dream invasions fractured the minds of those affected, turning them into violent, mindless husks driven by the Radiance's lingering will. Over time, this unseen spread of madness became known across the kingdom only as the Infection. The Infection represented more than just a physical plague. It was a corruption of the mind, bending thoughts and memories, drawing sentient beings into an overwhelming compulsive unity under the Radiance's influence. The Pale King understood that conventional means could not stop this dream-born power. To combat it, he turned to an ancient and mysterious force known as the Void, a dark and enigmatic energy that lay deep in the lowest reaches below Hallownest. With the combined energies of the Pale King and his partner, the White Lady, beings called vessels were created. These vessels were designed to be empty shells, devoid of mind, free will, or emotion, and therefore immune to the infection because they could not dream. Among countless vessels born of this process, one was judged pure and chosen for the crucial task of containing the Radiance. That vessel became known simply as the Hollow Knight. The Hollow Knight was raised and trained, eventually becoming the perfect prison for the Radiance's power. Once ready, the Radiance was sealed deep within the Hollow Knight's shell, and the vessel was locked away in a sacred vault known as the Temple of the Black Egg. To strengthen the vitally important seals on the Black Egg Temple, the Pale King entrusted 3 guardians called the Dreamers with eternal slumber. Their sleep acted as a powerful mystical bond, guarding the entrance and ensuring the Radiance remained trapped within the Hollow Knight. Monomon the Teacher, Lurien the Watcher, and Hera the Beast, each powerful in their own right, accepted this fate, locking themselves away to protect the kingdom. For a time, it seemed as though Hallownest would be saved from the infection. Statues and memorials throughout the kingdom honored the sacrifice of the Hollow Knight and the Dreamers, symbols of hope that the Radiance's influence was contained forever. Yet the Hollow Knight itself was not entirely devoid of essence. Though intended to be empty of mind and free will, a trace of its upbringing and bond with the Pale King lingered, weakening the perfection of its role as a prison. Over the long ages, the Radiance's power began to seep outward, bursting from within the Hollow Knight's shell and rekindling the infection that had nearly destroyed Hallownest once before. Many of the kingdom's citizens succumbed once again, their minds overwhelmed by the Radiance's dreamlike contagion, their bodies becoming shells of their former selves. The Pale King and his court vanished, leaving the already fragile kingdom in deeper ruin. At this time, another presence emerged in Hallownest. Far from the palace and royalty, a small nameless warrior known only as the Knight arrived at the edge of Hallownest, stepping into a quiet town known as Dirtmouth. The Knight, akin to one of the forgotten vessels, carried a small nail as its only defense. Drawn by forces beyond understanding or perhaps destiny, the Knight descended into the broken tunnels and forgotten paths of Hallownest. Throughout the journey, the Knight encountered countless remnants of the past, allies, foes, echoes of memory, and whispers of lore that hinted at the kingdom's tragic history. Confrontations with powerful adversaries tested every skill, each moment pushing the Knight closer to understanding its purpose and the source of the corruption plaguing the land. Along the way, the Knight crossed paths with a skilled warrior named Hornet, a fierce protector who challenged and guided the Knight through repeated encounters. Hornet herself carried deep ties to Hallownest's royal lineage, born of Hera the Beast and the Pale King. Her strength and conviction made her both a formidable opponent and a vital ally. As the Knight pressed onward, the names of other fallen heroes and figures emerged, each with their own role in the tangled history of Hallownest, and each adding texture and nuance to the deep tapestry of the kingdom's lore. When the Knight finally reached the Temple of the Black Egg and disrupted the slumber of the Dreamers, the path to confront the Hollow Knight opened. What happened next diverges across several possible endings, each shaped by the choices the Knight made and the strength it had amassed. In some outcomes, the Knight battled and overcame the infected Hollow Knight, assuming its place to contain the Radiance once more. In others, the Knight faced both the Hollow Knight and the Radiance itself in final confrontations, forcing the nightmares to fade and Hallownest into uneasy peace. Throughout these climactic moments, players witness the echoes of Hallownest's tragic legacy and the final fate of its broken heroes. Hollow Knight's story is not just the tale of a fallen kingdom, it is a meditation on memory, sacrifice, power, and the fine line between salvation and ruin. The deeper one explores, the more layers of meaning and hidden truth one finds, encouraging repeated journeys into Hallownest's depths and dreams.